Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astaghfiruhu wa u'minu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuru wa ashhadu wa la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Arsalahu bil huda wa dinil haq liyudhhiruhu ala din kullihi walau karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent Him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. So we welcome everybody to just a nice little Sunday evening as our first program related to Brother Tufayl's Strategic Command Center, which technically would be this whole little complex here. But don't worry, we're not waiting till we finish it, nothing. We're already into that right now. That's what this program is about. In other words, the buildings and the preparation and all that is important, but it's never been important to us as far as getting the ball rolling. So I would like to start off with a subject of this Sarafa. The word mushrif come from that. It's like a people who waste things. They waste themselves, they waste opportunities, they overlook so many things in their environment that they consider useless, and so they waste those things. So not one of the communities that we destroyed in bygone times would ever believe their prophets. Will these then be more willing to believe? Then it goes on to say, in the end, we made good unto them our promise, and we saved them and all who we willed to save. And we destroyed those who had wasted their own selves. Sarafa, mushrik, those who wasted themselves, wasted opportunities. And when you see simple things in a society, like if you remember in Oakland, the big piece of property we still have it there, and it was going to be a homeless shelter. They call it the unhoused. See, we're out here and we don't have no idea about homelessness. If you were in California, I mean, you can drive down some of the old streets that used to be factory laden. You could drive block after block after block. It looks like those shanty towns in South Africa. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, see, out here, it's getting ready to get cold. And so the weather's not that, in the summer it's blazing hot with rain and all that. But now California is pleasant weather. Even the winter is coming. It's going to rain a little bit, but it's going to be 65, 70 degrees during the day, most of the winter. Yeah, a cold day would be about 50 degrees, but the rest of the time, it's going to be good weather out there. So the homeless don't stay on the East Coast that much. They migrate west. That's why you've probably seen pictures and movies and videos of places like LA, where they got whole sections of people just hanging out. They have to come down and tear them down, wash them down with bleach and everything because of waste and what have you. They have those things out there. Well, we don't look at them the same way. As if you remember, we discussed our homeless center is like 3 stars and up, leveling off at 3.5 stars. That means like the food we eat here, that's the kind of food they're going to have in the homeless shelter. And the people there will be servants of those people, not dictating to them when you read a couple of verses of the Bible and you're going to get, you know, they're going to sing a few hymns. No. It's going to be like staying in a 3-star, 3.5, almost a 4-star hotel. And when you get, the people are going to come up and ask you, Mr. So-and-so, what would you like for lunch? Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. And they're going to be, of course, clean and wholesome, but the main thing is, even their statistics say 65% of the people, something like that, have some psychological problems in the shelters or the homeless people. Well, we'll solve 35% of it by how we treat the people, because we know that most of the people have problems because of the way they're treated. They're not treated like human beings. And an average person can be living in a house, have a good job, and the next year they're homeless. And sometimes it's sisters with children and themselves. And they first lose their house, then they living in their car. Pretty soon, the car just breaks down and it won't go nowhere, and they either just stuck with it or they have to establish a homeless shelter for themselves and their children. And they got programs to send children to school from homeless shelters in California. Okay, so that means you could see signs that people that are homeless, I used to be somebody or something like that. That means, can you imagine that having some green money is the determining factor of who you are, right? We don't want to live. Our first project, I'll talk about what we want to do in the second part of the talk. But we don't believe that's the way society should be. And since we don't believe it, then we have to get busy to try to fix it. So, for instance, if they got all these homeless shelters, you know they're closing military bases and all of that, right? Why not just turn the military bases? Let somebody, some big church rent the military bases for $1, right? And all the homeless, there's thousands of people can come, and they got them all over the country, right? They can go live on that military base, and they could live a semi-structured but a clean, healthy life. And you have some medical treatment, you know, some voluntary doctors come through, check everybody out, some voluntary dentists come through and check the people out. Because you can imagine the health problems you're going to have if you're homeless. And dental problems, you know, all of that. Well, that's because you don't have no money. Can you imagine a society that bases itself, like they do, on having some money? Where you live, they got a zillion houses empty, but you can't live in them because you don't have no money. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay, that's the way the people of the world think. They've been taught to think like that. So we got a big job teaching people the difference, teaching people what's the name last night said in his acceptance speech about possibilities. See, we have to tell people why y'all so happy. We got to tell them why they're so happy. You know, because they don't know. They're going off the surface thing. Like Donald Trump was this, and they did that, and Black Lives Matter. It goes deeper than that. We know it, but the people don't know it. And remember, the people act off perception, not reality. They act off what they perceive, or the picture that the news and the people and all the institutions draw of reality. That's what they accept, you know. So, abandoned bases, homeless people, they have zillions of forest fires. I mean, now they burning up whole regions. Why not give the people in the homeless shelters a purpose? If they want to work, okay, you could go. Where are you going to go to work? We're going to do just like in doing, what's the name? The civilian conservation things where they went out and go fix the forest, plant trees. Remember, we talked about regionally 1 million trees, nationally 1 billion trees, and internationally 1 trillion trees. We can't do all that stuff ourselves. We can't do all that stuff. Where we are now, we can't do all that stuff. But if we organize properly and we teach, train, and educate, all those things can be done. So that's the thing that we're working toward. Why should the people stay out? You're closing military bases, and they should close all of them down, not just 1 or 2 of them. I'll get to that later. Imagine the waste. If you want to think of the people that waste, look at the people, the opportunity they wasted in 1990, 1989, 90, when the Soviet Union fell. Wasted opportunity. What did they waste? They could have demilitarized most of the world, denuclearized, right? They could have did all of those things and they didn't do none of them. Why? Because of the military-industrial complex. The same thing Eisenhower said in January 1960 when he was leaving office. Beware of the military-industrial complex. That group of people who have now, we have standing armies, standing militaries, all modern weapons. Before, they would militarize for a war. Then after the war, after World War I, they'd demilitarized. But since having us, but after World War II, they said, no, look at the money we're making, man. We gotta keep fitna going, we gotta keep suspicion going, we gotta keep all this turmoil going, because we need an army to do what? To protect us. That's a waste. So therefore, they wasted the opportunity. When the Soviet Union fell, 1 week, no Muslim problem. By 91, the Muslim problem, right? No more Soviet Union problem. They switched right over to the Muslim problem. And they were saying that at the time, Newsweek, they were saying, well, this is the new challenge. They designed it. They got to have a new challenge, so they got to have weapons. They got to have wars, right? So that where they went to war, where's the challenges at in the world? In Africa, it's Boko Haram and all those people, Muslims. All established by who? Saudi Arabia. Who's Saudi Arabia's friend? The United States and the Israelis, right? It's all hooked up. It's all one thing. And the Quran refers to those people as mushriks, those who waste themselves. So it's not only the homeless, it's not only the trees that could be planted and the bridges that could be built, and all these things could be done by people they're wasting their people. like they said, there's all these infrastructure problems in America. And you got people sitting down, and not only wasteful, these people are stupid. Actually stupid, because if having a job is a problem, they're creating machines, right? So people won't have to work or can't work because the machine's going to do it. Why? Because of money. Because you don't have to pay the machine. All you got to do is get the first down payment on the machine, and the machine just going to work and work and work and print and print and print. And the human being who loves to work, you know, people feel good about themselves when they feel like they're making a contribution to themselves, their family, and their society. That's what the human being feels good about themselves, when they feel like they have some control over their life. Locus of control is what they call it in psychology. But they're wasting away. They're wasting the people. And they have a system that's going to produce more waste. When we talk about waste, you know, in nature don't have no waste. When an animal dies, I just run in the woods all the time, still traveling, it's different. If you saw an animal die in a certain place, right, and they decompose right there, the grass is the greenest right there. Why? Because all of those molecules and everything decompose. They went into the soil, all of those minerals and everything, copper, iron, zinc, lead that was in them, the grass is greener there. So there was no waste. What we give off as waste is food for other creatures, other beings. It's fertilizer. In Germany, you know, like here, you know, in Germany, in the winter, you can't smell anything. But in the spring and summer, when them fields moisten up, it smells like doo-doo. You know why? Because Germans use human waste. All day you can see them big trucks going out with steam coming out of it. They take that human waste and they put it on their fields. They do that in China everywhere, because human waste is fertilizer. Not only waste from cattle and horses and all that, it's fertilizer, right? So is human waste. I mean, it's for the plant. The point is, there's no waste in nature. Nature does not produce waste. Everything just changes form, and if it's a waste from me, it's a food for something else. The human being is the only one that can fill up the ocean with waste. Things that can't transform itself. Right? So the problem, this is what the Quran is talking about. The mushrifeen, or mushrifun, those who are wasters. Another thing they talk about that we want to mention in time, they said the road to hell is paved by what? Good intentions. That's satanic. That's exactly opposite of what? Islam. The first thing, your niyyah, your intention, right? But they're telling you that the road to hell is paved by people that have good intentions. So you got to have, well, if that's true, then what you going to have? Of course, I'm going to have bad intentions, right? I just want to mention, in this work that we're doing, we have to design it so we can have fun, keep positive, and take advantage of all or as many opportunities as we can. And even yesterday, old Biden was talking about possibilities. The possibility, you know, of course he's talking about America and its possibilities. Now, here's something that help America during its time of need. We always talk about America the good, right? They just had an election and they're talking about trying to do good and trying to, well, of course they're lying. Well, let's read what the Quran say about it. But that don't mean that we have to be, because we have the first project and we'll talk about that soon. Said the apostles, our sustainer knows that we have indeed been sent unto you, but we are not bound to do more than clearly deliver the message entrusted to us. The apostles replied, our destiny, good or evil, is bound up with yourselves. Does it seem evil to you if you are told to take the truth to heart? Nay, but you are a people who have wasted their own selves. Remember, the subject is mushers, people that are wasting. The whole earth is going to waste. Because the people, even in our own lives, we become more Americanized, we become more wasteful. You know, when we were younger, if we had something left on our plate, our parents would eat it, because they came from a time when you didn't have extras. You know, you just didn't have extras. And they remember that. So you just say, well, I'm full, I got more than I needed. My father would eat that up, because they were not wasteful. They come from a time when to have enough food was a blessing, right? And to have food at all was a blessing, because they used to ask the blessing. You know, they used to say, they used to thank Allah for having food. And just like a Muslim, if you slaughter an animal, you thank Allah for giving you power and authority over that animal to use that animal for the benefit of your life, right? And you thank Allah for that. How many people go to Mac's and before they eat a Big Mac or something, they ask the blessing? They just eat a piece of it and throw it out right here on the yard where we stay. I think they use that to get rid of all these Big Macs and all that. But anyway, let's go on. O my people, follow the message bearers. Follow those who ask no reward of you, but themselves are rightly guided. We talked again about wasted opportunities, the fall of the Soviet Union to disarm, opportunities to clean up the environment. Simple opportunities. When